coppers were warned never to enter the forbidden forest. But they did. What they found, no one could explain. And when they tried to leave, the forest had other plans. The three coppers arrived in Akurum village on a hot Monday afternoon. Dust followed the boss as he drove away, leaving them standing by the roadside with their bags and NYSC khaki. They were strangers here. Tunde was the loud one, always joking, always confident. Zainab was smart and bold, the type that questioned everything. Chioma was calm, observant, and liked to mind her business. The villagers gathered quickly to welcome them. Women clapped softly. Children stared curiously. Old men nodded slowly. The village head led them to the palace where the king waited. The king was old, tall, and serious. His eyes looked like they had seen too much. After the welcome greetings, food, and prayers, the king raised his staff and spoke. "You are welcome in our land," he said, "but there is one rule you must never break." The hall became silent. "Do not enter the forbidden forest," the king continued, "no matter what you hear, no matter what you see." The villagers nodded in agreement. Zainab exchanged a look with Tunde. "Forbidden forest?" Tunde cleared his throat. "Your Highness," he said politely, "why is it forbidden?" The king's grip on his staff tightened. "That forest is not for humans," he replied. "People who enter do not return the same, if they return at all." A murmur ran through the crowd. Chioma felt a chill move through her body. Later that evening, as they were shown to their copper's lodge, an old woman stopped them by the road. "Please," she begged softly, "if you value your lives, stay away from that forest." Tunde laughed after she left. "These people and their village stories," he said. "Everything is superstition." Zainab nodded. "They just want to scare us because we're educated," she added. Chioma said nothing. That night, as the village slept, strange sounds drifted from the distance. Low groans, branches snapping, whispers that didn't sound human. Chioma sat up on his bed listening. Outside, the dark outline of the forest stood silently under the moon, watching, waiting. Morning came with the sound of birds and village activities. Women swept the dusty ground in front of their houses. Children ran around barefoot laughing. Everything looked normal. At the copper's lodge, Tunde brushed his teeth outside and pointed toward the tall trees in the distance. "See that forest," he said. "Imagine what kind of stories these villagers have cooked up about it." Zainab laughed. "Honestly, I've noticed something. Anytime we ask about it, they change topic." Chioma adjusted her khaki cap. "Maybe there's a reason." Tunde scoffed. I beg, you two they fear. This is 2026. Zombies ke, creatures ke, please." The path to the forest was narrow and overgrown. As they walked, the air changed. It became colder, quieter. Birds stopped singing. Chioma checked her phone. No network. "Is this normal?" she asked. Zainab tried hers. "No service." Tunde shrugged. "It's a village." They reached the edge of the forbidden forest. Tall trees blocked the sunlight. The entrance looked like a mouth waiting to swallow them. Tunde stepped in first. Nothing happened. "See," he said, smiling. "All lies." Zainab followed, then Chioma. The moment Chioma crossed the boundary, the wind blew sharply. Leaves swirled around them violently. The forest shifted. Paths twisted. Trees bent unnaturally. Shadows moved where nothing stood. "Did we come through here?" Zainab asked, confused. They turned back. The path behind them was gone. Panic crept in. "Tunde," Chioma whispered. "This place..." Before she could finish, A deep groan echoed through the forest. Not an animal, not human. Something dragged its feet nearby. Branches snapped. A figure emerged from behind a tree. Its skin was grey. Its eyes were empty. Its body moved like it was being pulled by invisible strings. Zainab screamed. Another figure appeared, then another. Dead eyes, open mouths, slow, hungry steps. "Run!" Tunde shouted. They ran blindly through the forest, hearts pounding, but no matter how fast they ran, they kept ending up at the same spot. The forest had trapped them, and from every direction, the dead were coming. They ran until their lungs burned. Tunde tripped and fell hard, his khaki tearing at the knee. "Get up!" Zainab shouted, dragging him by the arm. Behind them, the creatures moved closer. Their feet dragged against the forest floor. Their breathing sounded wet and broken. Chioma stopped suddenly. "Wait," she whispered urgently. They froze. The creatures stopped too. Dead silence. Then the forest itself began to move. "This place is alive," Zainab whispered, tears rolling down her face. A loud voice echoed from nowhere and everywhere. "You were warned." They spun around. An old man appeared between the trees. His wrapper was torn, his eyes glowed faintly. "Who are you?" Tunde shouted. "I am the keeper, and this forest is not for the living." The old man raised his staff. The creatures knelt instantly. Zainab fell to her knees. "Please, we didn't know." The keeper looked at her coldly. "You knew. You were warned and you mocked." He turned to Chioma. "You hesitated." Chioma's heart pounded. "I told them to turn back," Chioma said. The keeper nodded slowly. "This forest hears intention." Suddenly, the ground split open slightly, revealing dark mist beneath. "You will pay," the keeper said, "one by one." The creatures rose again, and this time they smiled and walked away. The forest did not stay quiet for long. A low growl rolled through the trees, deep and angry, like the earth itself was breathing. Then footsteps, slow, heavy, too many. "They're back," Chioma whispered. Before anyone could move, a figure crashed through the bushes. Zainab screamed. More creatures followed, not walking now, running. "Run!" Tunde shouted. They ran blindly, crashing through branches and thorns. Their khaki tore, their legs burned. The forest changed again. Paths split suddenly. Trees closed in, shadows moved beside them. Zainab slipped and fell. Chioma pulled her up just as the zombie lunged. Tunde grabbed the falling branch and swung wildly, hitting the creature's head. It fell, but others kept coming. "We can't keep running like this," Zainab cried. Chioma looked around desperately. Every direction looked the same. The forest was confusing them. Then they heard it. Footsteps behind, footsteps ahead. They were being surrounded. Tunde's breathing became heavy. "Guys," he said slowly, fear creeping into his voice, "I think this forest doesn't want us to leave." A loud roar echoed. The ground shook. The zombies stopped suddenly. Something bigger was moving. Something deeper inside the forest was waking up. And whatever it was coming toward them. The roar shook the forest. Birds flew out of the trees in panic. Leaves fell like rain. "Whatever that was," Zainab cried, "it's not human." The zombies began to move again, faster now, as if something was driving them forward. "Split," Tunde shouted suddenly. "If we stay together, they'll catch all of us." Before Chioma could object, Tunde turned sharply and ran left. "Wait," Chioma shouted. Too late. Zainab hesitated, torn. Another zombie lunged towards them. Chioma grabbed her hand. "This way." They ran in the opposite direction. Branches slapped their faces. Thorns tore their clothes. The forest seemed endless. Behind them, they could still hear Tunde running, his footsteps, his heavy breathing. Then a scream, sharp, short. Silence followed. Zainab stopped suddenly. "That was Tunde," she whispered. Chioma's chest tightened. "We can't go back," she said quietly. "If we turn back, we'll all die." They hid behind a large fallen tree, pressing their bodies flat against the ground. Two zombies dragged themselves past, sniffing the air like animals. Zainab covered her mouth to stop herself from crying. Minutes felt like hours. When the forest finally went quiet again, Chioma slowly raised her head. "Tunde?" she called softly. No answer. The forest grew darker. Even the moonlight could not find its way through the thick trees anymore. Chioma and Zainab moved carefully now, no longer running. Every sound made their hearts jump. "Tunde?" Zainab whispered again, her voice breaking. "He can't just disappear." Chioma didn't answer. She was listening. Footsteps. Not theirs. Dragging sounds came from behind them. They crouched quickly behind a cluster of rocks. Two zombies passed slowly, their bodies bent, their mouths open as if sniffing for life. When the coast seemed clear, Chioma stood up. Then they heard it, a weak voice. "Help! Help!" Zainab's eyes widened. "That's Tunde." Before Chioma could stop her, Zainab ran toward the sound. "Zainab, wait!" They found him near a fallen tree. Tunde was on the ground, breathing heavily. His leg was trapped under a thick root. Blood stained his khaki trousers. "Tunde!" Zainab cried, kneeling beside him. "I tried to run," he whispered weakly. "The ground, it caught me." Chioma tried lifting the root, but it wouldn't move. The forest began to rumble softly. The zombies were coming back. "Leave me," Tunde said suddenly. "No," Zainab shouted. "We can pull you out." Tunde shook his head slowly. "They're close," he said. "If you stay, you'll die too." Groans echoed nearby. Chioma's hand shook. "Tunde," she whispered, tears in her eyes. Tunde forced a small smile. "I should have listened," he said quietly. "Tell the village, the forest is not a joke." A shadow moved between the trees, then another. Zainab screamed. Chioma grabbed her hand. "I'm sorry," she whispered to Tunde. They ran. Behind them, Tunde's scream echoed through the forest. Then, silence. The forest went still. Zainab collapsed to the ground, crying uncontrollably. Chioma stood frozen, her whole body shaking. The forest had taken one of them. Dawn was breaking when Chioma and Zainab finally saw light, real light, not the strange glow of the forest, but the soft orange light of morning. They didn't know how long they had been walking. Their bodies were weak, their minds were broken. Behind them, the forest was quiet again. They stepped out onto the dusty village path and collapsed to the ground. Villagers rushed toward them in shock. "What happened? Where is the third one? Why are you bleeding?" Zainab could only cry. Chioma struggled to stand. "We were warned," she said hoarsely, "and we didn't listen." When the villagers heard the name Tunde, their faces changed. The king was sent for immediately. He listened quietly as Chioma told the story. The forest, the creatures, the chase, the screams. When Chioma finished, the king closed his eyes. "The forest has taken what it was owed," the king said softly. "It always does." That evening, the villagers performed a cleansing rite for the two survivors. They were told never to speak of what they saw again, but some things cannot be forgotten. Weeks later, when the NYSC camp sent officials to ask questions, Chioma and Zainab gave only one answer. He got lost. At night, Zainab still woke up screaming. Chioma never laughed the same again, and sometimes, when the wind blew from the direction of the forest, they swore they could hear a familiar voice calling their names. Some places are forbidden for a reason. Curiosity can cost more than life. Later that day, they were assigned to their PPA and introduced to the village. Everywhere they went, people were friendly. But any time the forest was mentioned, silence. One elderly man even dropped his hoe when Tunde joked about visiting the forest. Don't joke with that place, the man warned sharply. It is alive. That evening, as they sat outside eating roasted corn, Zainab noticed something strange. Have you people noticed? She asked. At night, nobody goes outside. She was right. By sunset, doors closed, fires dimmed, the village went quiet like someone had pressed a mute button. From the distance, the forest rustled even though there was no wind. Chioma swallowed hard. Tunde, she said, did you hear that? Hear what? Tunde replied casually. A whisper floated through the air. Tunde. Zainab froze. Did you call his name? She asked Chioma. Chioma shook her head slowly. They all stared toward the forest. Nothing moved. Then laughter came. Tunde forced a laugh. You people are imagining things, he said. This place is messing with your minds. But later that night, Tunde couldn't sleep. He heard footsteps outside their window. Slow, dragging. He peeped through the curtain. The forest seemed closer than before, and for a brief second, he thought he saw something standing at the edge of the trees. Something tall. By morning, he woke up with one thought burning in his mind. We should go and see that forest. They didn't tell anyone. That morning, Tunde waited until the village was busy with chores. Zainab packed water and snacks in her backpack. Chioma hesitated, standing by the door, her heart heavy. This thing we want to do, Chioma said quietly. I don't feel good about it. Tunde laughed and slapped her shoulder. Relax, we'll just look small and come back. We're not children. Zainab nodded. Just a quick adventure.